And welcome back to the last. We're here, folks. We're on the last Zanpakuto theory video. Until new Zanpakutos get revealed in some supplementary media, or we learn a little bit more about the abilities of other Zanpakutos, like what what like Love Zanpakuto actually does, or the names of at least a couple other Zanpakuto. This is going to be the last one we do for the time being. And we're ending it off with the villain from the Camp for Your Own World light novel, Tokinada Tsunayashiro, part of one of the five great noble families, and the primary antagonist. Now, this character is about as evil as you get. He's kind of like, the Joker. He just wants to watch the world burn. And his Zanpakuto is kind of a reflection of that. Now, his Zanpakuto that he uses isn't actually his Zanpakuto. His own Zanpakuto has been confiscated. But because he's one of the five noble families, he didn't go into the Maggot's Nest, which is basically where most threats go. Because if you're part of the 13 Court Guard squad, you're powerful enough to be considered a threat on some level. But instead, because he was part of the five great noble families, he was allowed to, live out his life fine, peacefully, and comfortably. Unfortunately, he's evil and wants to do bad things, so he's still the villain. So the Zanpakuto he actually wields is another example of a family Zanpakuto, a communal Zanpakuto, if you will. A Zanpakuto that could be used by anyone of that family, theoretically anyone, period. And again, similar to Nanao's Zanpakuto, we don't know how these particular Zanpakuto actually work. We don't know how they came into being. And even if they possibly have a Bankai at all, because a Zanpakuto is supposed to be the reflection of your soul. It's something that a Zanpakuto is something only you can use. Like your particular Zanpakuto is only something you can use. If you die, your Zanpakuto kind of just becomes a blank slate, and you can more or less impart your own soul on there. That's what Tozen did with his friend Zanpakuto, who ties into this character, by the way, because the friend of his that died was this character's wife, who he killed. All comes full circle. Now, there is something in the Camp for Your Own World Volume 2 light novel. And they make mention of these people trying to kill Tokinada, who all have these Zanpakuto that apparently they're after the 1,000-Year Blood War arc. There was like a black market of just selling off Zanpakutos to people so they could have their Zanpakutos. And you'd think at first that wouldn't work, but when you think about it, even if a lot of the soul workers that died probably were no names that didn't know the names of their Zanpakuto, so they could easily just impart their soul there. And if they died, well, then it wipes the slate clean anyway. So it's very likely you could have someone do that. It makes sense. But anyway, let's assume for a moment that just like with Nanao's, these specific type of Zanpakutos, can still have Bankais. So the question then becomes, what is the Bankai of, if you'll give me 1 second to actually find the name of his Zanpakuto, or the Zanpakuto they stole. Where is it? Because I got to get his page up here. Here we go. It is his Zanpakuto's name. Now, his Zanpakuto is actually similar to Yumashika's, that it does, in fact, have a false release command. And a false name to it as well. Where its false name is Kuten Kyoikoku. Oh, God. Pronounce the names here. Kyokoku. Kuten Kyokoku. The fake Shikai basically allows him to reflect an incoming attack towards the attacker as if it were a mirrored or directing a light. So, whatever. In theory, if there was a Bankai for that it would just be one super large mirror that reflects all the attacks. Maybe it reflects it in mass. Its actual ability is something that's a lot more frighteningly powerful. And its true name is actually Enrak Yoten. Law of the Bewitching Lucid Mirror. Its true Shikai form of the Zanpakuto release command is sit from the four seas, the heavenly shores entwine, equally duplicate 10,000 and sharpen. Upon activation, the sword emits a brilliant, blinding light, and all the damage it has received is restored, while the blade itself becomes invisible to the naked eye. This sword has the ability to mimic any Zanpakuto ability the current wielder has witnessed beforehand. So far in the book, we haven't actually gotten to him really using it in the third volume. That's where all the action really goes down. We get Hisagumaru, Gaku Kairo. What Zanpakuto is that? Oh, the Zanpakuto of the former Kenpachi, like the 7th Kenpachi, who Zanpakuto turned into like all the creatures. Wabisuke, Zenbon Zakura, Hinako, Ryojin Jika, Kinshara, Suchimazu, which I believe was the Zanosuke's, the catfish. Good morning. Kyoka Sugetsu, Suzumebachi, Getsuburi, Tenkin, Hyorimaru, Suzumushi, and Rirukujaku. He can mimic several powers at once, and the power and mimic are scaled to the Ryatsu of the level of the wielder, making them either stronger or weaker, respectively. Now, there is a catch in this Zanpakuto. This Zanpakuto, through continued use, is draining your life force. You're losing years of life, and you're not getting them back. Now, luckily, Shinigami can live for a buttload amount of time. Like thousands upon thousands of years Shinigami can live. But they still ultimately die. So it begs the question, what the hell does a Bankai for this sword look like? What the hell does this Bankai actually do? Well, the thing about it is, I think, because I can only speak to what I know about the book. We have the 3rd volume hasn't come out yet. I've read the first 2 that have come out. The 3rd one still needs to come out. And I haven't read anything about what he actually did online with it. But given the fact that only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of these Bankai have 8 of these swords have Bankai. But it's not, the Bankais themselves are not named. I get the impression that the Shikai can only copy the Shikai of other Zanpakuto. So then the next obvious, the next obvious step for the Bankai of this blade, whatever that Bankai theoretically would be to copy the Bankais of the blades. But again, that would entail him to actually witness the Bankais of these Zanpakuto, which is going to be far less likely than witnessing the Shikais of said Zanpakutos. So, but that being said, that would be the next logical step, wouldn't it? If the Shikai is copying mostly the Shikais of Zanpakutos, the Bankai, in theory, should be copying the Bankais of Zanpakutos. And the same effect. It's scaled to your Ryatsu. He can theoretically combine them, but combining them weakens the overall power. In theory, you could do like Zakanotachi, right, Jakorai Koben. So this superheated flame bullet missile of death. That would actually be pretty sweet. Shinso and Yorimaru, for example, would be Daigyoran Hirimaru and Kamishino no Yari. Daigyoran Kamishino no Yari Yorimaru! Just a super speed ice blade that comes out super fast. There is stuff you could do there, absolutely. It is probably, though, the most logical. And it probably, if he were to use the Bankai probably would be fatal to use. If the Shikai is long-term fatal, the Bankai, I would imagine, would be like short-term fatal. Like, you will die upon using this technique if you use it. But, that said, I can't really think of any other logical ability that a Bankai for this type of sword would have. What would you think the Bankai of the sword would ultimately be, if it's not just the logical next step of copying Bankai versus Shikai? What do you think it would be like? Put in the comments below, let me know. But ultimately, that's the best I got on him, man. His sword is actually, despite being very complex in how you can use it, it's actually pretty simplistic in what it actually does. This isn't like Kyoraku's Katen Kyotsu, which we were scratching our heads exactly what the hell that Bankai was going to look like because of what the Shikai actually did. So ultimately, though, what do you think? Put in the comments below. But thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. As always, you want us to review something, put in the comments below. Let us know the review of it at some point. ideas for what would win, Star Wars, Superior Magic, What If, anything to do on the channel. Put that in the comments below as well, because that's at some point. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you folks another time. Later.